Well, the 6 people involved in the Keppel Offshore and Marine bribery case may still be prosecuted for corruption in Singapore if new and compelling evidence comes to light. This assurance from Indranee Rajah in Parliament on behalf of the Prime Minister. That's after the public prosecutor only issued stern warnings to the 6. Ms. Indranee described the ways corruption authorities were stymied by the complex transnational nature of this case. Others include requesting mutual legal assistance from Brazil and another foreign authority. However, the evidence and witness interviews did not yield information that could have led to a conviction in Singapore courts. A foreign witness who gave evidence in other proceedings was unwilling to give evidence in Singapore. And when a separate individual involved in this case was investigated in Singapore, they denied knowing commissions paid constituted bribery.
Members need to be realistic about what we can and cannot do. Singapore companies who operate overseas do so in myriad environments where all kinds of business practices prevail. We cannot police all of them. However, what we can and should do is to insulate our companies and our system against corruption.
The Keppel Offshore and Marine corruption case is one of public interest, which is why the Leader of the Opposition requested an extension of allocated question time. In her capacity as Leader of the House, Indranee Rajah agreed, further saying she did not want it to seem that the government is not responding to questions. Aslam Shah explains the issues at the heart of this case.
A listed company involved in an international corruption scandal, now having paid fines amounting to $422 million. But 6 former employees involved were only given stern warnings by Singapore's public prosecutor. This naturally raises questions about the justice system. Speaking on behalf of the Prime Minister, Ms. Indranee points out it was itself out of the ordinary that the Corruption Practices Investigation Bureau issued a public statement explaining its difficulties. After all, agencies are usually not expected to explain why there was no charge following an investigation. She further breaks down what a stern warning means.
It's an expression of AGC's position that we don't think that, you're completely off the hook. But we don't have enough to charge you. And I want you to know this. And I'm putting down a marker. I'm putting down a marker that there is something not entirely right.
After all, at the heart of the case are bribes amounting to some $55 million, making this a corruption scandal that cuts too close to Singapore's squeaky clean reputation.
On the 60th anniversary of CPIB, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "We will never tolerate corruption."
There is no change in Singapore's zero-tolerance policy in corruption. In having regard to the rules of evidence, CPIB and AGC are observing the basic rules for a fair and just criminal justice system. What can be inferred from this is that while Singapore has zero tolerance on corruption, it also strongly adheres to the rule of law.
That said, Ms. Indranee says Singapore companies must find a way to conduct business cleanly no matter where they are.